President Trump took to Twitter this weekend to blast the so-called squad of far-left freshman Democrats, telling them to go back to where they came from. And the reaction was big. ICE deportation raids began. We'll look at the details and the spin. Plus, a group of protesters actually pulled down an American flag and raised a Mexican flag at a U.S. facility. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. I hope you had a great weekend. We're going to dive right into the news, but first, I want to tell you about my friends over at Bottle Breacher. You guys need to check out these products. It's a veteran-owned company, made in America products, and they are just awesome. Just go to bottlebreacher.com, use coupon code Bobby13-A1 for 20% off your next purchase. That's bottlebreacher.com, coupon code Bobby13-A1. All right, so I want to talk about what's going on in this country because it is just nuts. We had the ICE deportation raids begin. You remember President Trump talked about them weeks ago and put them on hold. Well, now they began. They finally began in 9 out of the 10 cities that were listed. New Orleans kind of got a break, not so much since they're getting hit with a hurricane. But here is the report from CNN. Immigration authorities have begun conducting raids, a senior administration official said Sunday, in an operation expected to target about 2,000 undocumented immigrants ordered by courts to be removed from the country. The raids, which will focus on recent arrivals to the country, are slated for Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and San Francisco, a senior immigration official said. New Orleans is also on the list, but the city tweeted last week that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said it would suspend operations through the weekend in areas hit by Tropical Storm Barry. All right, so acting U.S. Immigration Services and Citizenship Services Chairman Ken Cuccinelli talked to CNN, and it was an interesting interview. CNN gave that report, but he thankfully dispelled a notion that the media and the far left keep talking about, and that is this whole idea of undocumented, that we're just rounding up people who just came across the border. And Cuccinelli, in his interview, spelled that out, dispelled that notion. Here's his report.
In your earlier segment, CNN had a little tagline underneath the mayor that said undocumented. Well, they're not undocumented. They've got a court order on a piece of paper, federal order that says they've gotten due process and over 1 million people with removal orders.
Well, let's talk about this.
Yeah, well, that ICE is drawing from.
All right, that's right. Just like he said, the people who are coming over, they're not undocumented. These are people who have had their day in court. They've gone through the asylum process. They've been given a ruling by the judge and said, hey, we heard your case. It doesn't work. You guys need to leave. And they don't leave. They've been given their deportation orders, and they continue to stay. This is what those raids are all about. But it shows you the narrative. It shows you what's going on when the left tries to portray these folks as not breaking the law, that they just came over, that it's all legal, we're treating them poorly, and it's just a false narrative. And you saw that on Friday afternoon in a hearing with former ICE Director Thomas Homan. He was talking with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was trying to freight train him into saying that these asylum seekers were legal, that we're doing bad stuff, and he schooled her, and it was great. Take a look at this.
Mr. Homan, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review.
Okay, all right, let's move on. See, she didn't know what to say, and this is what happens, and you have to wonder why there are people out there that purposely try to mislead when the situation is dangerous and tragic enough. There is a crisis at the border. The problem is that the process is so long because so many people have come here, and there are so many that are trying to get through a system that is broken. And as Lindsey Graham talked to the Washington Times over the weekend, 30% of those who are going through this process are actual criminals. 30% of those who are coming with children saying they are families aren't actually families. Here's a report from the Washington Times. Mr. Graham, who toured the 2 Texas detention centers Friday with Vice President Mike Pence, said he was told during the visits that 30% of the people with small children are fake families. They are doing a pilot program and doing DNA testing and checking and seeing, are these real families, Mr. Graham said on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. They told us about 60 children there that were recycled, he continued. They picked up the children in Central America, they bring them back to the United States, everybody's released, and the child goes back to Central America to do it again. It's $8,000 for adults, $4,000 for the families. So, see, this is a business. It is a business, and they know how to do the system. These children, as you saw, in many cases, aren't even part of the family. They are used as pawns, which is tragic, and they're just sent back, and they do it over and over again because part of the current U.S. regulations says that if you come with children, you can only be held, in most cases, for 20 days. That means if the 20 days are up, you're released into society, into the United States, and most of these people are not heard from again. All right, I want to go into what's going on with the follow-up, the protests, the fallout from these raids, because the left, you have to wonder if they even like America, why are they here? Okay, and I saw some footage this weekend that was truly disturbing. All right, as the raids are being announced, we saw last week that there are Democrats actually aiding and abetting these criminals, trying to show them how to avoid ICE. Well, this weekend, Friday afternoon, late afternoon, there were protesters at the ICE detention center in Aurora, Colorado, and take a look at this video. All right, yes, that's right. You saw the American flag came down. They hoisted a Mexican flag instead. And here's a report from the Washington Times. It says, Aurora police said activists swarmed the flagpole, took down 3 flags, and replaced them with Mexican flags, an upside-down, spray-painted U.S. thin blue line flag, and a banner that read, F the police. Protesters described the facility as a concentration camp, but Representative Chip Roy said that he was impressed by the center run by the GEO group, which holds 1,200 adults and no children. So, I mean, this is just, they defaced an American flag, spray painted on that, raised it upside down, and hoisted a Mexican flag as well. And this is at a U.S. federal facility. This is the kind of stuff that's going on, and yet you hear nothing from the Democrats. No outrage, no protest. Our former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, tweeted out this, which I thought was great. There are no words for why the Democrats are staying silent on this. If this is your way to win elections, find a different strategist. This is disgusting. Love your country, and if you don't like what is happening, then tell members of Congress to get to work and fix it. Yep, silence, nothing. All weekend long, there wasn't a single word about this. And folks, this is disturbing stuff. And, you know, again, there is a process. If people are truly seeking or fleeing political or other kinds of persecution in the country, there is a system for it. The reason things are overcrowded now is because that system is being abused, and detention centers that were meant to hold hundreds are now holding thousands. And to go through the process is going to take years. And this is why we passed additional funding last week that many of this so-called squad of freshman Democrats opposed, so we can hire more judges, so we could speed up the process, so we can even get more detention beds to house these people until they can have their day in court. And speaking of the squad, these freshmen of Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib, there was some wild stuff that happened this weekend. Recall last week, it's like for conservatives, for Republicans, it was an ideal situation. You've got Nancy Pelosi on one side, you've got the freshmen on the other, and they're battling each other. They're calling each other racist, they're calling each other old, or they're calling each other out of touch. It was great. I mean, let's keep it going. And the fact is that I talked about that last week. It actually continued into the weekend. Here is what the House Democrats actually on their Twitter page, they brought up a tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff. He posted this in late June, and here is what they said. He said, "I don't think people have to be personally racist to enable a racist system. And the same could even be said of the Southern Democrats. I don't believe Charisse is a racist person, but her votes are showing her to enable a racist system." So that was the tweet by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff. That's what caused a lot of the problems that forced Nancy Pelosi to call meetings and dress down these folks for calling out these blue dog Democrats, these conservative Democrats that helped win them the House in this last election cycle. Now you've got the far left Democrats attacking them. So the House Democrats came back and tweeted this: "Who is this guy and why is he explicitly singling out a Native American woman of color? Her name is Congresswoman Davids, not Charisse. She is a phenomenal new member who flipped a red seat blue. Keep her name out of your mouth." All right, so it sounds good, right? And again, the battle continues. If they fight themselves, if they're shooting each other, all we have to do is sit back and watch. I mean, let them chew themselves up. And that's how it was going through the week and into the weekend until, for some reason, Donald Trump woke up on Sunday and decided he needed to get on Twitter and interject some stuff into this mix. And folks, for those of you who are new to the show, I just want to give you some background on me. I've been involved in politics for 25 years. And when I was back in the day when I was chairman of the Texas Young Republican Federation, our current House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, was chairman of the California Young Republican Federation. So I've been in this a while, and everyone knows that I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, but I'm not a mindless cheerleader. And the things that Donald Trump did on Sunday were just beyond bizarre. Here is what he tweeted out to his millions of followers. He said, "So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, even if they have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously telling the American people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places where they came from? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. We can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements." All right, so I mean, why? Why do that? Because out of these four freshmen that really get in the headlines, 3 out of the 4 of them were born in New York, Detroit, and Cincinnati. And he's telling them to go back to where they came from. All it did was shift the narrative. Nancy Pelosi actually came out with a tweet supporting the freshmen. These were people she was blasting during the week, and now she's supporting them. And of course, it gave a stage for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar to fire back at Trump. And when you have your enemies shooting at each other, don't put a target on yourself. That's all I'm saying. I love President Trump, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Please let me know in the comments because, again, the past week was so great. We were on a roll, and you don't want to kill momentum. In politics, if you're on a wave, ride the wave. Don't mess it up. Don't kill your momentum. But I really want to see what you think about these tweets. Were they a big deal, or was it, nothing to put any time on? So, folks, that's our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so that you're notified. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.